Alrighty, so part two of why you should be doing or could be doing email marketing as a small business owner, and does it even make sense? Really, when a lot of people start with email marketing, they kind of approach it from a sort of, oh, let's do a random act of marketing type thing. And the reason for this is that, well, they have heard they should build a list and they're not quite sure where to start, or how to start, or when to start, or why to start, or what to start, or, who should be doing the starting. It's really, you hear you should be doing email marketing, you hear, you read, you know at some level that you should be building a list, but it's just where and how do you get started? That's really the main question here. So I'm telling you, don't start by building a list. Instead, the very first thing you need to figure out is how you are going to monetize what value to whom. Or in other words, what is the thing you are going to sell that is of value to someone else? So someone else out there, real people who face real issues and they want a real solution that works for them, they're asking themselves, who can help me? And you basically need to, before you ever start thinking about building a list and doing email marketing, figure these things out. Who is that person? Or where do I find such people? What is it they value? And this is a key thing. What is it they value? Not speaking from your own position. Not saying, hey, I've got this cool thing, go and buy it. And if you then find out they don't buy it, well, you add some urgency and scarcity, etc., etc. No. Tapping into the conversation that is going on in their heads. And this all goes back to that inverted pyramid we saw. When people are at the pain stage, you need to speak to that pain. When they are aware of the problem and they look at the various ways of solving that problem, you need to speak to that problem-aware level or the solution-aware level. Once you've figured out what it is they value, you need to figure out how to monetize it. There is very little point in building a list just for fun. I mean, it is good for the ego to have a big list and, people saying they love you. But if at the end of the day they don't pay you, if they don't give you money, well, that doesn't pay the mortgage. So when you look back to this pyramid, always keep this in mind. There are people who have an experience in pain, and you can ask yourself, can I serve them in some way? Can I serve people who experience a pain, but they are far too far away from buying my thing? But is there something I can provide of value and then either guide them towards the thing I sell or even charge for this information I give them, the clarity I provide to them at that level? Maybe they can find out, well, actually it isn't that painful. Maybe I don't even need to go through this whole research and decision-making process. Maybe, the pain I thought was a pain isn't really such a pain. I'll give you one example. Here's a client. Now, this is not a client of mine. This is the website of a client of mine who's now become more or less a friend. Andy Keane. He's a landscape gardener in Dublin, and I hence have permission to show his site here. What we did is we looked at the special offers. By the way, this site is still far from perfect. Andy is so busy that unfortunately he doesn't have time to implement all the good things I've told him to do. But at least he's done a decent job here on the special offers page, and this is a fine illustration of how to speak to different pain points. So for example, he knows that there are people out there who look at their garden and go, where do I start? How do I even begin to turn this mess into something nice? So the service he provides quite clearly speaks to this pain possible problem. If the wife says, I am leaving you if you don't do something about this garden, well, that's a problem. But in general, there's a pain, but people don't even know where to get started. And he speaks to this particular audience by saying, look, I can help you with this. Here are all the good things you're getting, and it's only going to cost you 295 euros. Well, if the pain is big enough, the 295 euros is nothing. I'm showing you this to illustrate that when you go out and start thinking about building a list, and remember, we're thinking about building the list so we can get permission to start a controlled conversation. That's really what we're looking for. And of course, during this controlled conversation, we want to be relevant as possible, and ultimately drive people to either doing business with us or not. So here's an example of where you can tap into a pain level. It's not the obvious. I mean, if you were target someone like this with a, hey, special offer, whatever. Oh, actually, keep these in mind here. So there's someone who looks at their garden and go, man, I don't even know where to get started. If we were to go and put this offer in front of them, the ultimate gift to your significant other special offer, in all likelihood, they would not respond. They cannot make that mental leap from the incredible mess that their garden is to an ultimate gift to the significant other. If anything, they're getting told off by their significant other about the state of the garden. But they're not making that leap from, hey, if I now hire Andy, this complete and horrible mess is going to be turned into something beautiful. Other pain points he speaks to is patio, and it's quite funny here. You could eat your dinner off this patio special offer. So this is for him more a lead gen type thing. As you can see, it's only 25 euros. He comes in, he does a beautiful job, and then he can upsell him into all kinds of other things. And of course there is the extreme version of I have a horrible garden, where he basically comes with a big dumpster and hauls all the rubbish out of the garden. But as you can see from this example, there are different ways, different pain points, different levels of this pyramid where he taps into it. So to step back, to go, if we go to the previous slides here, most people go in and go, I must build a list. And then they go onto their site and go, well, look, I'm a landscape gardener, but don't know what to give out. Okay, how about we just say, sign up to my newsletter. And that is a random act of marketing, and I'm encouraging you not to do such things. A sign up to my newsletter speaks to no one. It basically says, well, I don't know if you're here or here or here or here or here. And when people go, well, you're not speaking to me specifically, they are less inclined or very, very unlikely to sign up to your newsletter. And if they don't sign up to your newsletter or email sequence, you cannot have that controlled conversation. So your step number one is to really figure this out. Ultimately, who is going to buy something from you because they are giving you money, monetizing it? Why do they give you money? Because they get value out of it, out of the thing you are providing. And the best way to think about this is to think about these different levels here, think about at least the top three, the pain, problem, solution, and how people express that in their minds, so you can then tap into it and have an offer, have something where people go, I want to know more about that. So the process for doing this is 4 steps. Number 1, this is my recommendation. I'm assuming you have a business, you have a product or service, or you have multiple products and services. And my recommendation to keep things simple, to keep you from getting overwhelmed, is to identify your number 1 bestseller. Just identify one of them. Yes, I know you might think, look, but there are all these different levels I can talk to. Yes, you could. But in all likelihood, until you've practiced this a few times, you will get overwhelmed of all the things you could be doing. So focus on your bestseller only. Take one thing, and then, and this is very scary to a lot of business owners, talk to your past customers or your past clients. Talk to people who have bought from you and then stopped buying from you. Talk to people who bought from you and are still buying from you. And talk to people who bought from you and they referred others and gave you glowing testimonials and love you to bits. This talking to past customers is an exercise I do with all my clients, and there's a small proportion, I would say 10 to 15%, who will never ever go out and talk to their past customers. Why? Because they are afraid of getting bad feedback. They are afraid of looking in the mirror and figuring out why people might not like them. And I know it feels like rejection, and it is rejection in a way, but you cannot take this personally. There's always the question of, do I have to serve everyone? And the answer is no, you can't serve everyone. You can't make everyone happy. Some people will like your style, Others won't like your style. And when someone bought from you and didn't have a stellar experience, assuming, of course, you did the very best you could, so be it. Such is life. But I'm pointing this out because if you immediately now thought, there's no way I'm going to talk to my past customers, my recommendation is don't do email marketing. Email marketing is fairly intimate. At the end of the day, this is the ultimate goal. Like I said in the beginning, you want to do branding, you want to be at the front of people's minds, and there is a certain personal element in it. And if you are afraid to talk to customers, you will get a lot of feedback, and some of it will be negative. People will unsubscribe from your email list. And if you take that too personally, I don't think email marketing is for you. So going forward, I would suggest this, the whole process of email marketing really is only for people who are willing to, really engage with their audience. The point of talking to past customers is, of course, to figure out what made them buy, what made them stop buying from you. What are the things that were really going on in their lives? So you can then tap into that conversation. It's these things here. What pain did you experience? What are the problems you were trying to solve? What are the solutions you did contemplate? Why did you choose one over the other? This is the information you need to discover. And incidentally, this is the most important part. You need to discover this. You cannot, and let me re-emphasize, I'm going to shout into the microphone here. You need to discover, you cannot guess what these points are, what the pain points are, why people make certain decisions, what is going on in their lives. Because you as an expert are so familiar with the product and service you have that it is impossible for you to view the world, and I mean it, absolutely impossible to view the world from a perspective of someone who is still struggling with that problem. You are an expert at landscape gardening, and I've had this conversation with Andy. When he looks at the things people have in their minds, what they think is possible or is not possible or should be doable or what things should cost, it has nothing to do with reality. The same goes for, why do I have an accountant? Because, it's all gobbledygook and a mystery to me, right? So when I go to my accountant and say, hey, can you do this? And they just go, oh man. I remember conversations with my accountant. They go, why are you not thinking this way? Why are you not automatically doing this and that and the other? I'm going, because it's not on my radar. So the key point I'm trying to make for you here is, whatever is going on here, at whatever level, the conversations that are going on in your prospective clients' heads is something you must discover. You can never ever sit down with a blank piece of paper and say, my clients do this, and they think this, and they believe this. You will be so far off the mark, it is not even funny. So you must go out and discover this. And you do this by initially talking to past customers or potential customers. Once you've got that, you design your very first super stupid simple sequence. And what I mean by that is you put something out there. Let's assume now for the time being that all you're trying to do is get people onto your email list so you can have a controlled conversation. So the very first thing you need to have is to give them an incentive to sign up to your email list. And this will very much depend on what it is you discovered in your step number 2, talking to past customers. Sometimes it is, and it all of course depends on this here. If it is something to do with their pain, you want to speak to that pain. You need to find a way of addressing that pain. If you do, for example, a solution-based thing, you could start comparing solutions. So this would be a comparison sheet. Typically what you'll find in practice, and this is beyond the scope of this video, is the higher you're up to pain-oriented or early discovery of the underlying problems, it is sort of towards story-based marketing. Anything that engages at that level. Whereas once you get down to solution and the why people should select you, that is more factual-based marketing. So you need to find an incentive where people go, that is what I want. I'll give you one very quick example. There's a video marketing service that promised, hey, we do all this cool stuff in our video software. And you need to watch this video down here that explains everything that's in our software. And all the sales page had was a video about 15 minutes long that supposedly tells me everything there is in the software. Now, I'd done my due diligence. I just wanted to know if it had the features I was looking for. So I start the video, and the video goes into, oh, I'll tell you about these things our software does in a minute, but first, let me tell you about everything you ever wanted to know about video marketing. And it goes into the history of YouTube and how many videos are uploaded, etc., etc., for about 10 minutes. The only reason I stuck with that video is because, well, I do marketing and I use it as a case study and analyze it. Any sane person who is down here looking for a solution and, is trying to decide whether you have the features and benefits they are looking for, they're not going to put up with 10 minutes of the history of and beautiful storytelling and showing how life has changed after discovering this thing, etc., etc. No one is interested. So when I say down here, you design your sequence, the first step of that sequence is you want to have something that appeals to the mindset of your chosen target audience. And of course what I mean is it something that's pain oriented, is it problem oriented, is it solution oriented, or is it literally, why should I choose you? What are your features? What are your benefits? What is your USP? Why should I choose you? And the thing you put out there will differ depending on what audience you're talking to. So the process is really step 1, 2, 3. You identify what it is you've got you want to sell. And it may well be something that is at the pain level, as you saw with Andy's example. We'll tidy your rubbish. Well, there you go, thank you very much. It may well be at the problem level, it may well be at the solution level. In all likelihood, it'll be somewhere down here, right? It'll be, you have been selling something for a while, you have a USP, why people should come to you, and now you need to package that up. And I would highly encourage you to focus on just that. Focus on your USP, focus on the thing you are confident does already sell, and now build a sequence around that. So talk to past customers why they bought from you, figure out why they didn't buy, what objections they had, what else they were looking for, what needs you didn't meet, and then you design your initial sequence around that. Meaning you have a freebie, a giveaway that gets people in and says that you are looking for this particular solution, here's my whatever it is you want to give them, a comparison sheet, etc. And then you make offers in there. You get people over to your offer page, wherever it is, and you simply now measure if this thing works, in the sense of, did I understand my customers correctly when I talked to them? My past customers, did they give me the information that is general enough that when I now talk to strangers, in the sense of I put out an ad or I get a referral, do they see value in it? Now we go back to the value idea. At the end of the day, you want to give them something of value, or they give you their attention, they give you their email, their privacy, and of course at the end of the day they give you their permission, and finally they give you their money for the value you provide. And the value you provide is, you need to be relevant. And you find out the bits that are relevant by talking to your past customers, and you find out the bits that are not relevant, which you can leave out, but also by talking to your past customers. So when you now talk to strangers, in the sense of you put an ad out on wherever it is you want to put it, on YouTube, on Facebook, in the newspaper, when people respond to it, you know you are relevant. And when you find out, well, they don't respond to it, it turns out you still have a bit of homework to do. So this process here, unfortunately, never is, and it really never is. Anyone who promises to you, hey, it's simply 4 steps, you do it, boom, thank you very much, is doing a big disservice. This is always an iterative thing. You can always refine it. But if you do this, as I suggest here, by starting something you know inside out and you already have proof that it sells, and you talk to past customers, you are off to a very, very good start because you're starting with a solid foundation. Maybe as a side note, if you don't have a proven bestseller, you've just started your business, and as a result you don't have past customers, you basically need to invent past customers, and I wouldn't encourage you to completely invent them. I would come up with a hypothesis and then verify it by talking to good relatives or to good friends, maybe fellow business owners who already sell something like you are, and then do a very quick design of a sequence. And when I say sequence, of course, it's an initial product or a freebie, a giveaway, something, a piece of content you give away, to simply measure if people respond to it. And you always need to test. I have a version A, I have a version B. Which one converts better? It's known as A/B testing. So you want to test two versions against each other. And that way, you can very quickly convert on a version where enough people go, ooh, that is relevant. I want to give you permission to send me more messages because it really is of interest to me, and I believe it is going to help me solve my problem. So, what is required in practice? Number one, you need some software. Personally, I use a software package that's called Kartra. It's a combination of a page builder, it's a combination of email marketing, of course. It has inbuilt software delivery, so if you are not software delivery, a content delivery, so if you want to deliver any sort of content in the digital world, whether it's videos, whether it's PDFs, etc., it's all built in. I've tried all kinds of different platforms. Kartra is the one I'm using right now. You can find it by Googling Kartra, kartra.com, I believe. We have an inner circle. Here's a very soft pitch for my inner circle. If you're a member of Kartra, I'm an affiliate of Kartra. I need to point that out. So I'm using Kartra. I have tested all kinds of things. I'm highly recommending it to all my clients. As I'm an affiliate, if you decide to use Kartra through my link, you will get access to my inner circle where you get all kinds of trainings, and you get our templates we use in Kartra personally, so you get started up very, very quickly. Anyway, the point is, use something that works for you, and this would be my key insight into software. Do try a few different ones. I have used Aweber, I've used not Infusion of GetResponse, I've used ActiveCampaign, I've used Drip, all kinds of different ones. And at the end of the day, whether it's email marketing, whether it's page builders, etc., it has to be something you can use easily and effortlessly. It has to fit your style. And with all the features and benefits you could compare, at the end of the day, it always boils down to, does it fit your own personal style? So my recommendation is, with all the software, go and try out a few different ones, and you will quickly realize, hey, this one over here works for me, this one doesn't work for me. More important than the software, and that's why I'm saying, do not start by building a list. Start by setting the foundation up for your list, which is figuring out, what are you going to monetize? Who sees value in what you've got? At what level are they? Who are these people? Once you've figured out, using the process of this process here, based on your bestseller, or at least what you think could be your bestseller, talking to real customers and figuring out what it is they really want. Only once all of this is in place, then should you start building a list and start doing email marketing. So the key thing here is to have a solid, and really I mean a solid, understanding of what people want. What are they willing to give you permission to send them more messages for, so you can stay relevant? Until you figured that out, you don't need any software, you don't need any email marketing, you need none of that. And then once that's in place, you start with the bare minimum. Like I said, one product, one target group, and you build a system, a very simple system, a step-by-step, a sequence of emails, usually starting with a freebie. Hey, here's a cool freebie, give me your email address. And it's a system that guides people to their solution, whatever that solution is, and typically it guides them to that solution as quickly as possible. If you recall my example, hey, video software, here's the information you wanted, and then it turns out there's 10 minutes of irrelevant content beforehand, well, that is not as quickly as possible. And in the real world, I would have bounced off. So keep reminding yourself, at least in the beginning, when people don't know you, they haven't been on your list for a while, they don't know your personality, they don't know that you are a lovely person, they only care about one thing, and one thing only, and that's their own well-being. They are looking for a solution. They have a problem, they want a solution, and either you can provide it or you don't. And if you get off track and talk about things that are not relevant, they will bounce off. So in the beginning, you simply go, right, what problem is it they're facing, step by step, how can I get them to the solution? And if at the end they buy from me, that is awesome. And if they don't buy from me because it turns out there's a better solution for them, that is fine too, as I've mentioned several times before. Only once that's in place, then do you invest the time and energy to build a brand. This whole idea, like I said in the beginning, of building a brand and having that KLT factor, the know, like, and trust factor, that's all fantastic because it helps you be at the top of mind, it helps you with repeat business, it helps you with referrals, etc. But until you've figured out and proven to yourself that your system guides people to their solution and actually works in the sense of they give you money for it, and they are very, very happy because you serve them well, there's absolutely no point investing any time and energy into building a brand or doing very complicated machines of upsells and downsells and segmentation and automation. This bare minimum is a sequence, it's a linear sequence. Here's step 1, here's steps 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's fairly easy to build out once you've got the solid understanding. And that's the key thing. You need to get that solid understanding first. There's no automation yet. There's no segmentation. Only once you've proven to yourself, yes, for my one core product, for my ideal audience, I have a good connection. I have a message that resonates, is relevant, and people buy from me. Then do you invest the time and energy to build a brand, to do automation and segmentation. And of course, the automation and segmentation is then to guide people to the different levels you've got here. You can pick up people over at problem, and suddenly, if you see that they are engaged, you can guide them over to solution. And once you've done your comparison and you start to see that they're showing signs of engaging with your solution, well, you guide them over to you. If, on the other hand, at problem level, they go, well, actually, that's not what I was looking for, well, you pick them up somewhere else. So, there you go. That's the high-level summary, and I know we went a little bit technical here, or I hope it was not too technical. All of this here, identifying your bestseller, requires no technology. You just look at what it is you've got, and you need to go through your data, and you need to actually look at your business and what does sell well. Not what you'd like to sell, but what actually sells. And then comes the uncomfortable bit, talking to past customers, reaching out to them. And the interesting thing is, a lot of people have all kind of hang-ups about talking to past customers. But what if they don't like me? What if they will not tell me? You need to go and try it. And you will almost guaranteed you will be pleasantly surprised how open people are to talking to you if you show genuine interest. Then you do a very simple initial design, and I can help with that. That is a fairly straightforward thing once you've got your data in place. So, with all of this, here's a little quiz. When you look at these different levels here, what would you say was this entire presentation aimed at? What level? Was it aimed at people who have a pain point? Was it someone who has a problem or a solution? Or was it aimed at me? Now the answer is, of course, there's no clear-cut answer. It could people who experience the pain. Let's talk about the general population of business owners who want to use email marketing or could be using email marketing. The pain might be, hey, I don't have enough business. I don't have enough revenue. That's the first thing. Well, then you could look at the problem and could go, well, you know what? It could be because I don't have a good enough brand and people go to others who do a better job at branding. Like my example with the plumber with his gas boilers. Or my problem could be I don't have enough repeat business. I'm spending too much money acquiring new customers, and then I don't get enough lifetime value out of those relationships. Or I might have a business with a very long sales cycle, and as a result, before people come to the conclusion that they should buy from me, well, they've bounced off somewhere else and found something better, or something else. When you look at the solutions, well, what are the different solutions to doing this? One of them is email marketing. Another one would be messenger marketing. Another one might be social media marketing. And again, when you look at the different levels, you will start to realize that, well, actually, email marketing is not the best everywhere. Neither is social media marketing. Neither is content marketing. Neither is messenger marketing, etc., etc. There is no best for. They're all good tools. But the statistics I've shown you in the beginning is that email marketing is pretty damn good. And of course, at the end of the day, the you, in this case, would be me. Well, why should you choose me? Well, I don't know. You might like my style. You might not like my style. Who knows? The reason I'm showing you this is that, in general, there is no clear-cut answer. But I can tell you this. I have run this presentation in various formats before. I've done a webinar. It wasn't focused on email marketing. And in this webinar, I, in the beginning, said, hey, by the way, there's nothing for offer here. And then gave them a similar piece of content as you've just seen in this video. And at the end of the video, or end of the webinar, I said, oh, by the way, do you remember I said there was nothing on offer here? It was pure content. And people said, yes. And I said, oh, by the way, who here would be interested if I had an offer? If I had this whole thing packaged up with templates and, done for you and da-da-da-da. And a surprisingly large number of hands went up and they said, yes, I would be interested. Do you have something for it? And I said, no, I don't. And we then started a discussion, and the gist of the discussion was that basically they felt respected. It had nothing to do with the fact that I didn't offer anything in the beginning. It all had to do with the fact that I acknowledged and accepted that some people had a pain point and they wanted a solution to it. So I showed them that. Some were at problem level, and I showed them different ways of dealing, or the different problems and how to deal with them. Then specifically, I can't remember exactly what it was, something to do with webinars, I showed them the different solutions out there. And then, of course, at the end I said, well, my USP is, etc., etc. The core message is this. Throughout, I respected these levels and didn't try to sell anyone on anything. I didn't try to say, hey, look, I know you're totally confused, you just experienced some pain, but trust me, just buy my thing and everything's going to be okay. I didn't say, look, you with the problem over there, ignore your problem, ignore all the other problems. What you need to do is, my thing, and it's the best in the world. And look at all these testimonials, blah, 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 blah. Neither with the solutions nor with me. With me, I said, look, you just got me for an hour, and some of you may like it or not. And those who liked, raised their hands. And that's really the core message here. The philosophy underlying everything you've just seen, this sort of permission-based marketing, the attempting to be relevant, and at the same time being respectful. That's the key thing. Respectful of where people are at, and then trying to help them at that particular stage, instead of trying to push them to that last point. That's the core point I've made when I showed you Chet Holmes's pyramid. Typical marketing is aimed purely at pushing people to the sale. Buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. If you haven't bought yet, urgency, scarcity, bonuses. All of that is nonsense, because people who are not at the lowest level yet, who haven't done their due diligence, who haven't done their research, who haven't done their comparisons, they are not ready. And when you push someone who's not ready to a purchase, there will be buyer's remorse, they will not be using your thing, they will not be getting all the benefits from it, and as a result, they will not buy from you again. They will not give you testimonials, they will not get you referrals. So it's basically, you can push people to a one-shot sale, and they may buy from you. With enough urgency and scarcity and bonuses, you can pretty much get anyone to do anything. And I've done the same. Yeah, I have bought stuff I should not have bought, simply because, well, the urgency was there and the bonuses were there, and then I didn't get any value out of it. And typically it's because I was at a level up here. I didn't have an understanding of what was required to really get the solution I was after. And as a result, I had to rely on in this case, false promises. And I was persuaded. End result, a fairly small lifetime value, never repeat buyer, never testimonials, never, etc., etc. Whereas when I have dealt with vendors who appreciate and acknowledge my pain and respect my pain, or respect that I'm at problem stage, or respect that I'm at solution stage, and don't sell me something, at the end of the day, I am guided through their funnel, and if the time and when the time is right, I have bought from them over and over again. So that is my big... I'm not trying to wag my finger and try to tell you this is the way it is, but please keep this in mind. When you do email marketing, you can use email marketing with enough urgency and scarcity to push people into a purchase, and in almost all cases it will backfire. It's a short-term view. Don't do it. Be respectful of these different stages, and people will love you, and if they're not ready to buy from you right now, they will be at some point in the future. So, with that out of the way, if there are any questions, let me know. There is a chat box somewhere around here. You can leave a comment down below. And of course, you can reach out to me at the link down below, where I am more than happy to engage in a conversation and see if I can't help you with your business. Alrighty, cheers, bye.